Hi there, I'm Pamela and we're in my kitchen where I share with you some of my favorite recipes or those most requested by friends and family. Today we're going to be making chewy pecan diamonds. This recipe is a combination of a cookie and a candy actually. We've got a tender shortbread crust on the bottom layer and the top layer is a caramely pecan chewy topping, and together it makes a wonderful combination. It's a favorite recipe with my family for the holidays and I would like to share it with you. Now, before I get started, I want to mention I've had several people in a panicky mode text me or message me and say, "Where's the recipe? You didn't say the amounts." And listen, I'm always going to print the recipe up for you. It will be under the video. It used to be that there was a little arrow and you'd touch that and the recipe would drop down. It looks like YouTube has changed things a little bit. So under the title, right under the video, if you see the word in bold print that says more, if you touch that, the recipe will drop down for you. So let's get started. I have some flour that I'm going to add to my large bowl, some powdered sugar, some cornstarch, and some salt. And I'm going to take my whisk and just blend those dry ingredients. Now I'm going to grab some butter that's in my refrigerator that's been chilling. It's very important that you use cold butter. I've diced it up and it's unsalted. That's important too, otherwise your crust is just going to be too salty. So we're going to drop that in. And I'm going to take a spoon and just coat those chunks of butter with the flour mixture. And then I'm going to take my pastry blender and just break up the chunks a little bit, and then I'm going to work with my hands on this mixture. Now, you can skip all of this if you like using your food processor. I don't. I don't like getting it out, I don't like dirtying it, and I like the control that I have using my hands. But if you're in the habit of using your food processor, go ahead. It will mix up in 10 seconds. So I'm just going to start with my pastry blender and get some of these 1/2 inch, 1 inch chunks just a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to get my hands in here and I'm going to rub this butter into the flour. If you watched my scone recipe, the process is just exactly the same. The only difference is we're going to rub it in more thoroughly. Instead of making a sandy mixture, we're going to rub it till the whole thing is kind of clinging to itself, where you can grab it in your hand and squeeze it and it sticks together. This takes about 5 minutes if you're going to do it by hand. So I'm going to just work at this and I will show you what it looks like in a few minutes. All right, my crust is ready. Got a nice crumbly mix here, and when I squeeze it, it sticks together. So we're going to dump this into a 13 by 9 inch pan that I have prepared with aluminum foil. I've put a big long sheet across this way and one this way, because once it's baked and finished, we're going to want to lift it out, and this is going to enable us to do that. I've also greased my pan. You can use butter or you can use spray, the baking spray, whatever is your preference. So I'm just going to spread this out, this crumbly mixture, and once it's covering the bottom of the pan evenly, then I'm just going to press it in. And we're going to bake it in a 350 oven for about 25 minutes, just for it to take on some color. Not too dark, but you definitely want to see that it's getting golden. And when it comes out of the oven, we will let it cool just a little bit while we make our topping. This will stick to your fingers a little bit. That's okay, just keep rubbing it off. Just going to press it in. Be sure to get the corners too. And press down firmly because you don't want your crust to be too crumbly when you cut it. All right, I'd say that's ready. Got a nice crust patted down firmly, and we're gonna bake it, and then we'll come back. Our crust has come out of the oven. My kitchen smells like shortbread cookies now, but as you can see, it's a nice golden brown color without being too dark. I have lowered the heat on my oven to 325 while we make the topping. So we're going to head over to the stove to make this cooked topping, but before we do, we're going to get started here with some brown sugar, light brown sugar, and some unsalted butter, and some corn syrup. And we're going to take this over to the stove and put it on a medium-high heat, and we're going to melt the butter, and the sugar and the corn syrup will all mix together, and it will still be granular, and our goal is to bring it to a boil and have the sugar dissolve. And once the mixture comes to a boil, we'll put our timer on for 1 minute, and that should dissolve the sugar. And then we'll add our pecans and our heavy cream, or cream, doesn't have to be heavy, and cook that for about 3 minutes, and then add our vanilla, stir it all up real well, and put it on top of our crust and bake it for 20 minutes. But we'll go over to the stove now, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we've got our brown sugar, our butter, and our corn syrup in this pan, and we're just going to stir it and melt the butter. And once everything is melted and the mixture has come to a boil, we will time it for 1 minute and cook it. All right, the butter's melting. The mixture's still very grainy, but that will completely dissolve in the minute that we're going to cook it. All right, this has come to a nice boil, and we're going to let that boil for 1 minute exactly, and then we're going to add our pecans and our cream. And my pecans, this is 4 cups of chopped pecans, about 14.5 ounces. We're going to stir and cook this for 3 minutes until it thickens slightly. Okay, this has cooked for 3 minutes and it's thickened slightly, so I'm going to add my vanilla and take it off the heat. Okay, we've removed our mixture from the heat after stirring in the vanilla, and we're going to pour it into our baked crust, scraping the pan well. And when you're over at the stove cooking this on a medium-high heat, pay attention closely, because there are times where it might smell like it's burning a little bit, and you don't want to burn this. Just lower the heat on your stovetop if you need to, but keep it at a steady boil. So I'm just spreading this really well and evenly all over my shortbread crust. Get it in the edges as well. Okay, and it's going to go back in the oven. And remember, we've lowered our oven to 325. About 20 minutes, maybe 25. You want it nice and bubbly, and it's going to darken a little bit. I'm going to get something and scrape that off. I don't want to use my finger because this is really hot. There. There, it looks pretty good to me. I just flatten it out a little bit. There. Okay, we're going to put this back in the oven and come back. Okay, our chewy pecan diamonds are out of the oven. The pan is hot, so I'm going to use my pot holder. But as you can see, and I'm not going to tip it too long because it'll run. It needs to set. But it's darkened. We took it out of the oven and it was bubbly all over the top. So it's done. It's very important that you let it cool completely in the pan. Don't be tempted to take it out sooner than it is completely cool, because what will happen is it will bend. When you lift up the foil and lift everything out, if it's not completely cool, it will just do this. It won't do that once it's cooled. And you're going to use the foil that you have around the edges, or the parchment if you chose to use that, to lift it out. Put it on a cutting board and slide the foil out if you can. Otherwise, just take a big sharp knife and start cutting. This is called chewy pecan diamonds. You can cut them into squares or triangles or whatever you want. Did I mention I got this recipe from Bon Appetit? I can't remember if I did or not, but anyway, I'd like to give them credit. It's a delicious recipe. Serving it, you can put it on a plate like this if you'd like, but as I've shown you before, I like taking cupcake papers, white ones, so they don't fight with the dessert, you know, not patterned ones, and just put one in each and put it on a serving plate. Serves up really nicely. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you are, please give them a thumbs up, leave a nice comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon for another Christmas recipe. Bye.